Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another one of our presentations. My name is Mark, founder and co-owner of the College Planners located in Maumee, Ohio. Feel free to check out our website, thecollegeplanners.org, for constant updates and tips on how to save on the out-of-pocket costs of higher education while keeping that money you've earned and saved in a safe place for you to enjoy during the retirement years. You can also contact one of us individually, either at mark@thecollegeplanner.org or andrew@thecollegeplanner.org, at any time for guidance or to set up an appointment to come in and speak with us about assisting you even further down the road to planning and saving on college costs. We also have several social media sites that I'll list later in the presentation that you can visit, or better yet, subscribe to, and receive a constant flow of very sound and beneficial advice and tips to save you as much as you possibly can on your or your children's educational costs, as well as some things to be aware of that often lead people down the path to heaps of debt, which is actually the very thing we're here to guide you away from. Our focus in this presentation will be sharing with you ways to pay for college at the lowest possible cost, while still finding ways to contribute toward a happy and worry-free retirement. In fact, our goal when assisting clients is to strategize to ensure that the least amount of the money that you've worked hard to save and put away be used for the purchase of a college education, but instead be held safely and securely where it can continue to grow to reach amounts that otherwise would be unattainable. So as parents, this poses a bit of a problem. We want the very best for our children, and a good education is definitely on the top of our list to help provide for them, but we cannot forget about our retirement. The goal of retirement is to relax and not worry about finances. At that point, we'll have spent the better part of our lives worrying about that stuff. But how can you balance these without falling into debt or pushing back your retirement time frame? First, let me show an example of how paying for college without proper planning could affect your retirement. Based on current tuition costs, if the money you would potentially spend on college could all be put toward your retirement, it would increase these funds drastically. As you can see in this chart, depending on which type of school your child is looking to attend, you could have an additional $170,000 to over $650,000 saved for the retirement years. These numbers are based on an 8% annual return, which is about average, and also on a 5% annual increase in college costs. That's right, folks. Every year, the amount of money we'll have to pay for our children's education rises by that much. Actually, the last I checked, it was even closer to 6%. When's the last time you received a 6% increase in salaries? So very simply, college costs are increasing at a higher rate than our paychecks. So that's why strategic planning is essential, so you're not paying a dime more for college than absolutely necessary, and you aren't using your hard-earned savings to do so. This is only looking at 15 years down the road. I wouldn't even want to imagine the numbers, what they'd look like in the future. Oh yeah, and this is for one child. So if you're like most of us who have two or more children, some close enough in age that they'll be attending college at the same time, these numbers obviously will be a great deal higher. But what if you only had to use a portion of that money for college costs? What if the vast majority of those funds that you've saved could be stored safely and with a guaranteed return, free to use for your retirement, or even a big purchase that you didn't think you could afford? Then, instead of frantically searching for ways to supplement your retirement later down the road, you could enjoy your lives, which is exactly why you're working so hard now. This is precisely what we are here to do for you. Our goal is for you to pay as little out of your pocket as absolutely necessary and keep your savings for what it was intended, your future. You know, it would be really nice if paying for our children's college costs and saving for retirement were the only worries we had in life, but unfortunately there are dozens more, some more worrisome than others. For most parents, fear of dying before we see our children grow up tops this list. These days, job security is always a concern, but look at the other two, the two topics that I'm highlighting today: saving for retirement and saving and paying for college. Beginning now, your perception that these two concerns must be treated as separates must end. With our guidance and strategic planning in place, they can be tackled together with great benefit to you and your family. Another challenge that we continually face is that college costs just keep rising. Like I mentioned a few moments ago, they're increasing at a rate of 5 to 6% annually, and really there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. This school year, in fact, a public university will cost you about $21,000, a private college will run you about $42,000, and a private elite school tops the charts at $56,000. That's per year, folks. Now, as scary as these amounts seem, they are what we like to call the sticker prices. Every big ticket item you'll purchase has a sticker price. And let's face it, college is a purchase. You're paying a college or university for an education. But rarely do we pay the full price for any large purchase. When buying a home or car, for instance, there are always promotional deals, buyer discounts, same as cash offerings, and so on. Little did I know before I got involved in college planning, and the reason I did so, is that you absolutely do not have to pay the full price or sticker price for your or your children's education. Again, our goal is to reduce the money spent out of pocket and put that toward your retirement. Well, at this point, I'm sure you're asking, so how do I do it? And to that, quite frankly, I would respond plan, plan, plan. You can never start too early or save too much for college, but there are ways we can assist you in making those saved dollars last a whole lot longer. It all begins with what the government thinks you should be financially responsible for. This acronym you'll absolutely want to remember because you'll hear it a lot. EFC, Expected Family Contribution. As you can see in this calculation, it doesn't only include income, assets are thrown in there as well. So certain things you do that you think are helping your financial situation, when it comes to college funding, aren't necessarily doing that, and in fact could be detrimental. We're here to help you with that and lead you in the right direction. So how does the government determine this magic number? Well, the most common tool is the FAFSA form through the Department of Education. This is another acronym that stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid and is used by the vast majority of colleges throughout the U.S. The CSS profile is a similar tool, mainly used by private colleges, and is more in-depth. These calculation tools are used during the base year, which is from January of the student's junior year in high school to December of their senior year, to basically tell you how much you'll be expected to pay for college based on your financial status during that time. So your financial need will be the cost of attendance for whatever school your child is looking to attend, minus your EFC. Now what we're looking for here is a high financial need number, that is how much aid your child will be eligible for, and this will vary from school to school. The higher your financial need, the more eligible your child will be for scholarships or grants, or I like to think of it as free money. Our goal then will be lowering your EFC, which will increase this number and keep more money in your pocket. Remember, these calculations are based on the previous year, so actions are extremely time sensitive. The sooner you can get in and talk to someone about ways to lower your EFC, the more money you'll be able to save, and the sooner you can start focusing on early retirement planning. That being said, the time is now to seek out ways to avoid paying more than you really need to for what will probably be one of the largest purchases you'll ever make. Depending on different deadlines set by colleges or universities that your child is planning to attend, any changes that you want to make to lower your out-of-pocket costs need to be done before filling out the FAFSA and/or CSS profile forms. An analogy we like to use is that we as taxpayers wouldn't fill out our tax forms, submit them, and then go back and try to make financial changes to get a larger return. And that is exactly what college financial planning will do for you. But instead of an uncertain return, you'll know exactly how much money will remain in your grasp and available for you and your family. Quite simply, what you do now can and will save you money. But hesitation or uncertainty will cost you money. As I've mentioned, no one needs to pay the full price for an education, and we're here to ensure that you don't. As parents, and it's actually trickling down to our children, we wonder if it's really worth it to spend so much money on something that may or may not pay off. Times are tough, and sometimes it doesn't seem that a college education will be worth as much as we'll pay for it. But in actuality, it will. In fact, this number kind of shocked me, but 83% of companies hiring starting this year will require at least some sort of higher education. So whether or not to send our children off to college or straight into the workforce seems obvious. But there are still a lot of decent paying jobs for those that choose not to further their education, right? Well, not so much anymore. Based on the previous stat, the number of career-oriented companies that are requiring some sort of post-high school education or training is higher than ever and increasing every year. But the financial benefits speak for themselves. As you can see, the average income last year for a high school grad was just over $31,000. But a bachelor's degree drastically increased that number. And the average income for someone with a master's was almost double that of someone that chose not to further their education. So here comes the fun part. We're going to detail how to stretch your hard-earned dollar. Let's say the household income is $100,000, which is pretty average based on recent studies, and that you've paid your house down a bit and have some equity. Remember, the EFC is based on income and assets, and believe it or not, home equity is factored in when these numbers are determined. In this example, your assessed savings are $150,000 and non-assessed accounts have a value of $300,000. Now, by assessed, I mean money that is viewed by the government as usable for paying for college, such as checking and savings accounts, some money market accounts, and also some retirement accounts. All these will need to be disclosed when you fill out the FAFSA or profile form, so again, it is vital that you look at your options sooner rather than later. In this example, the FAFSA was filled out and the EFC was calculated to be $28,475. Now remember, this is the amount the government expects you to contribute toward the cost of your child's education. The college that was chosen in this case has a sticker price of $55,000, which, based on the price list I showed you earlier, is most likely a high-end private college. So the EFC subtracted from the sticker price gives us a financial need amount of $26,525. Again, this number represents the amount of aid you qualify for based on the information you submitted on the FAFSA. And our goal is to make that number as large as possible to limit the amount of money out of your pocket. So now I'll show you what could have been done prior to filling out the FAFSA. The parents in this example decided to explore alternatives to paying what was expected of them and sought professional guidance by way of a college financial planner and made a simple adjustment. All they did was move what they had in one account, which in most cases is a simple checking or savings account, usually not yielding very much return, and put it into a non-assessed account. Now there are several choices when it comes to which account works best for you and your family, so we'll educate you on which one is most beneficial when you come in and see us. Now let's see what this does once the FAFSA is filled out. That simple move has reduced the EFC to $20,000, which drove that financial need number up to $35,000. And guess what happens to that money? In an instant, it remains at your disposal. Pretty remarkable, don't you think? So $8,475 is saved per year. So if your child finishes college in the typical 4 years, you will have saved almost $34,000. And the savings is per child, so if you're like most of us and have more than one child, especially close enough in age to attend college simultaneously, you're going to save a lot of money. So now that you've seen the difference that proper planning will make on the amount of money that you're able to save on college, what should you do next? Look closely at your family's EFC as well as your unique financial situation and sit down with your husband or wife and decide whether or not you should consult with a professional planner. In the vast majority of cases, it is extremely beneficial to do so, but I'll be honest, there are some cases where we find that there isn't a whole lot we can do to reduce those educational costs. If your finances are at all similar to that of the example I shared with you, you would greatly benefit by seeking guidance. Once you've made the determination to come and talk with someone, you'll want to discuss ways to direct your income and assets away from the unnecessary college costs and more towards your retirement. Remember from earlier, starting today, these two should be bundled together, and with proper planning, neither will be a burden, but rather an advantage over others that chose not to act. I'll help you get the ball rolling. If even one of these is met, then you are a prime candidate to seek professional guidance. Believe it or not, home equity can make a considerable difference in your out-of-pocket college costs, as well as your income. If your household makes less than $60,000 a year, you could probably send your kids to college for next to nothing, and our services wouldn't be of much value to you. And if your household income exceeds $200,000, although possible, it's unlikely that we'll be able to assist you, and the financial aid process will most likely prove that you make too much money to qualify for any need-based aid. Although there are a lot of merit-based grants and scholarships, it can still cut the costs and be beneficial. A savings account in excess of $30,000. If you recall, this would be considered an assessed account and would be viewed by the government as a means to pay for college. I am a huge advocate of having as much savings as possible, but when it comes to college planning, there are a multitude of other accounts that are safer, yield more interest, and would remain intact and available for your retirement years. Ideally, you want your child to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. This simply opens doors to a lot more colleges and universities and gives you greater leverage when deciding which school or schools to apply to. Like I mentioned, if even one of these applies to you, it would be of great value for you to consider speaking with someone. A couple things I would shy away from. Only a college funding professional has the necessary tools and resources to provide the best and most applicable advice for you and your family. People at work or even relatives may share what has worked or didn't work for them, but really until you sit down and speak with someone, you won't have an idea of what plan will benefit you. Every situation is different and every family is different, but everyone has the same opportunity to save money on the cost of college. But you won't know how much you'll be able to save until you come in and explore your options. Well, folks, if saving money interests you, and I'm sure it does, we do offer a free 1-hour consultation to anyone that has watched this video. We really have no idea how greatly you could potentially benefit from one of our plans, so it wouldn't be fair or ethical to charge you. You can visit our website at thecollegeplanners.org or contact one of us individually at mark@thecollegeplanner.org or andrew@thecollegeplanner.org to schedule your free consultation, or if you have any questions regarding the video that we've just shared with you. We also have our social media sites listed here for you. Please feel free to visit and subscribe to them to receive helpful tips and advice on not only saving money on college costs, but in everyday life. Contact us soon so you can start saving money in the immediate future, as well as start your plan for a better retirement. I'll leave you with a great quote that I stumbled across, and it couldn't be more fitting. Education is not only a ladder of opportunity, but it is also an investment in your future. Start your plan today, folks. Take care.